Hello everybody. So, Wanderer is on banner for the next 2 days. Yes, this video's being a little bit late, unfortunately. But he's an awesome character. I use him a huge amount. The question is he worth your Primo Gems? Should you get him? You've also got Kokomi on banner right now, and then you've got Lyney and Yelan right round the corner, followed by Zhongli and Tartaglia. So there's a lot of awesome characters coming up. Should you go for Wanderer? The thing you should know about Wanderer is he is a hyper carry for the most part, in that his only real purpose is to be buffed by other team members and then to do loads of damage as quickly as he can. And he does excel at that, but it does mean that he is much less flexible than, say, a support character like Kokomi or Zhongli. So his premium team is probably the Farazan, Bennett, Thoma combination. It's what I would call quite high investment. So you have to put a lot of time and effort into farming artifacts, getting the constellations for his support, especially Farazan. She really needs that C6. So that is something to consider. Are you willing to actually do that level of vertical investment in just one character? But having put the time in, what you will find is he can really get the job done. I mean, just look what he can do to the Pyro Registine. Admittedly, Thoma's shield is being helped out here by the fact that it does pyro damage and the shield is 250% more capable against pyro. Let's check it out with the semi-intransient matrix. That doesn't do pyro damage. It can be a bit tricky if you don't have Electro and Dendro to sort of force it out of its invisibility state, but honestly it stands no chance against this team. So you want to do your Thoma, skill and burst, then you want to do Benny's skill and burst, and then Farazan's skill and burst. It's very simple. All 3 of the supports are on Favonius, so energy is not going to be an issue. Wanderer is built with no real energy. It's not been a priority for him. For him, it's all about crit rate, crit damage, attack, and animo damage bonus, which is why Farazan's there. And you can just see the hit points melting away. I love that.
Search for it. Fire it up. I got you covered.
I'm going in. Have fun with this gift.
Yeah, all Favonius users is the way to go when it comes to Wanderer's supports. That's mainly because you have to have all 3 of those bursts working and then use Wanderer. So you want those bursts absolutely on cooldown 100%. Any delay just throws the whole system into disarray. But there are plenty of other teams that you can use him on. Although he's more restricted than a support 5-star would be, you can, obviously, I've used him with a Burgeon team. I like him very much with that Burgeon team. It doesn't really maximize Burgeon damage. It's sort of, I've sought to find a balance between the damage that Wanderer can do himself with some buffs, because he needs some buffs or it really isn't great at all, but equally still getting some extra damage out of Dia and Burgeon. That's why Dia has got Sacrificial Greatsword. It's so that she can use her skill more often. It's not 100% uptime, but it is an improvement. And although they'll do less damage, the Burgeon will, the added defensive utility and the added buff from Tenacity of the Millilith, which she's holding, her set, means that it is, I think, better in general. Certainly it's much more comfortable, and this is my comfortable going around the map with Wanderer team. I mean, it's so rapid to just get about the place. So let's have a look at these 3 Ruin Guards. They hit pretty hard, and because there's 3 of them, it's fairly easy for them to take a character out if you don't have good shielding or damage reduction, which of course we've got Xingqiu here, C6 and Dia, and when you combine those 2, really you don't get a lot of damage that can make it through. And as you can see, they're just melting away. Very satisfying. I'm going to say, actually, I think Baizhu is probably quite a good character that people often don't give enough time to. I think he's better than a lot of people think. And we'll take out these 3 just for completeness. You know, we came to Economia anyway, so we might as well, right?
Witness the power of good work.
It's just a cacophony of numbers and explosions. I call this team Napalm because, you know, everything on fire. Yeah, it gets the job done. I wouldn't use this team in the Spiral Abyss. It doesn't do enough damage. It's not, you know, it's not going to be able to do it within the necessary time frame. But for the overworld, it's very comfortable, and you've got a Claymore for breaking rocks, which is always handy. I hate it when I have to swap from one team to another just to break rocks. But I do love having Wanderer on my team because of that open world mobility that you really just can't beat. Right, so let's try a different team now. We've got Xingqiu here, Beidou and Sucrose. Not really tried this team before. This is a one-off for right now. And I'm hoping that with Beidou's Burst and Xingqiu's Rain Swords, the damage reduction will have a very similar effect to when I used Baizhu and Dia and Xingqiu. Xingqiu does end up in an awful lot of teams. That's one of the only things about this game is he is utterly broken. Yeah, I personally think he's basically like a 6-star because almost every team, if you put Xingqiu in it, would be improved. I mean, I use Yelan in some teams and she's brilliant. She does a load of damage, but Xingqiu is probably better most of the time. The added defensive utility is very handy. Now these Hidden Shells are not going to last long enough for it to even be worth doing really, so yeah, they're all done. Okay, maybe we should go kill something else. Well, what else is there around here? Ruin Guard. That'll be... you see, missiles. I hate the missiles. When you get a bunch of them together and they just keep hitting you with the missiles, getting knocked about, it's no good. But yeah, I mean, it's just chaos, isn't it? I mean, we're not even going to get to Wanderer. He's dead. We didn't even get to Wanderer. But, you know, that's what you get with Xingqiu, Beidou and Sucrose. There's a powerful taser team right there.
No, my sword. Grain cutter.
But you throw Wanderer in as the on-field driver and you have the added defensive utility of being able to fly, and you've got the fact that he actually does a reasonable amount of damage himself anyway. Although in this team, of course, he's not really being buffed by anything much, so you'll probably notice that the numbers coming from him are a lot lower. And this is just floor 9 of the Spiral Abyss, so obviously the enemies are incredibly squidgy and easy to kill. So, yeah, hence why they're, you know... it's not really a challenge for this team, shall we say. But hopefully we can showcase the situation. Come on, let's see if we can actually get to Wanderer. Oh, they're all dead again. You see, you can drive with Sucrose on this taser team, and I tend to throw Yelan in if I'm going to do that. And that's a very good team. Genshin does involve quite a lot of having to move around the map. And they don't always put the teleporters right where you want them, and so that's one of the reasons why I think having a character like Wanderer, Yelan is good for overworld mobility as well, but really nothing beats Wanderer. One of the great things about him is when he's gliding, his skill is on cooldown, so if you glide for 5 seconds, you land, you can immediately take off again and go again. So you can sort of glide and fly from the tops of various different mountains and just cross the map at ridiculous speeds. And then when he gets there, he does some damage as well, which is always handy. That recent event they did where you have to collect up the animals, it highlights how useful Wanderer is. I mean, I would hate to do something like this without him. Having to climb up trees and branches and cliffs and glide down and but like for example a cliff, you might have to climb up it slowly to conserve stamina. If you've got Wanderer, you can take out half the cliff by just going. He's got pretty bad vertical performance, to use a helicopter flying term, but it's better than nothing, and it gets you halfway up the cliff, which means you can then do the sort of jumpy climbing for the rest of the cliff. Just makes the whole thing so much quicker and more user-friendly. You might be able to guess by now, but I am a big fan of Wanderer. I didn't sort of mean to be. I mean, I always thought it was cool that he can fly, but he's one of those characters that, without meaning to, I find myself coming back to over and over again because he's just comfortable and fun to use in the overworld. And actually reasonably useful in the Spiral Abyss as well. So for example, recently I've been having a bit of trouble with Floor 11 because they have that monument, and my best teams are a Nilou Bloom team and a Hyper Bloom team, both of which are prone to self-damage, which means they damage the monument itself, especially the Nilou Bloom team, because the AoE of that is just so huge. So I needed a good non-self-damaging team, and the ones I ended up using were this Wanderer team with Toma and Farazan and Bennett, and an Ayaka Freeze team, which did have Kokomi. So I have her, she's a good character. I do think you should probably think about picking her up, and it does depend on, very much, if you want to know whether to get a character or not. It's not a straight up, I should, I shouldn't, this one's good, this one's not, this is a must pull, that's not. It doesn't really work like that. It depends on what your account is. And, you know, for example, if you are primarily a Hyperbloom focused account, you have a lot of Hyperbloom or Burgeon or something like that, then perhaps Wanderer might not be as good as Kokomi, probably, in fact. Whereas if you want to move away from that, or you don't really focus on that, then perhaps Wanderer will be better. But like I said, bear in mind, it is going to be high investment. You want to make that team work well, you are going to need to get the constellations for the supports, and you're going to need to level everything up. So I guess that's it. I would say that Wanderer is not a must pull. Very high vertical investment hyper carry, so somebody who you are going to have to build a good team around, and he won't work in that many teams. But he is very good fun to use in the overworld and reasonably useful in other circumstances. So yeah, if you want him, you've got 2 days to go. I only have him at C0. I've been very tempted to get him at C1, but the problem is Yelan is around the corner, and I'd like to get her C2. And then there's Zhongli, and I don't even have a copy of him. So I'm trying to resist. I have 2 more days to resist, and then it's probably going to end up being C2 Yelan, but still very tempted. His constellations are good, but Yelan at C6 is properly broken, and I would love to have that on my account.
Dare to mess with me, wretched dastard!
Well, until next time, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please remember to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, which is pretty much definite because I have no subscribers at the moment. But yeah, I mean, stick around. I'm going to be making more videos as Fontaine comes out very soon, and I will talk about it in future videos and try and give a bit of a breakdown of what I think will work, what doesn't work, you know, what I've pulled for, what I haven't, and help guide you to make decisions that are right for your account. Awesome, thanks for watching, and see you again soon.
We'll see about that.
The wind rises.